Heyo there, Groovy Fox here, and today we're coming at you with a quick video with my thoughts, spoiler free, about It Chapter 2. Now, as I said, I'm going to make a longer video where I go into spoilers, but this is just my first reaction type video, and I don't want to get too heavily into spoilers in this video, so we're just going to make this brief. I am going to touch on a few topics, and then I'm going to make a longer video, so keep an eye open for that when it comes out. As always, make sure to hit that like button if you like this video. If you really like this video, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any more of this groovy content. Now, first things first, the cast for this movie is fantastic. As soon as you see the whole adult loser club together, you can actually tell that for the most part, they found the perfect actors to play the adult versions of the loser club. Everyone in this movie was fantastic. My two favorite standouts were definitely adult Richie and adult Eddie, played by Bill Hader and James Ransone respectively. Those two had the strongest performances. I also think the banter back and forth between the two of them pretty much ended up taking the majority of the dialogue in the film, so it's like they have all the best lines, and they do a great job at recreating the dynamic between Richie and Eddie that was set by the younger actors Jack Dylan Grazer and Finn Wolfhard. So they were fantastic in this. All in all, the whole cast was great. Some characters in this movie seem like they had a little bit more to do than other cast members. It feels like kind of like an Avengers movie, that there are some characters that we're just going to spend more time with, and there's others that just kind of seem to be lost along the way. Like there wasn't much to do with that. Without getting into spoilers, there was one character that was kind of a surprise return. Not so much a surprise if you read the book or read the 1990 miniseries, but they came back, for example, and they were in the movie for a couple of scenes, and it didn't really amount to much of anything. I don't think they actually achieved anything. There were some interesting scenes that were definitely kind of throwbacks to other horror movies, but I'll get into that in my spoiler video. All in all, I thought It Chapter 2 was really good. My main issue with this movie is just kind of the way that it was structured, because each of the characters, after they meet, they kind of separate and almost kind of pair off maybe a little bit. And it's not that they pair off for the whole movie, it's just that you get the most interaction between those sets of characters, and there's not as much of them together as a whole. They work best when they're all together, playing off each other and stuff like that. Other than that, Pennywise was great when you actually got to see Pennywise. Bill Skarsgård does a fantastic job again, obviously, but it seems like his role in the movie was kind of diminished a little bit. Like, he seemed like he was a lot more omnipresent in the first film than he is in this movie. And I thought that was kind of a shame, because he does such a great job, but in his place, similar to the first film, we end up getting a lot of illusionary monsters and things like that. And a lot of it is CGI monsters, which to some people can be a little off-putting. It doesn't really bother me too much, but I definitely would have preferred a little bit more practical effects. Now, I've never read the book, so I'm not sure how close the ending was to the original book, but I just feel like something was a little anticlimactic about the ending. I don't know. Maybe that's just my personal opinion. It seemed like there was a lot of empty space in this movie that could have been utilized a little bit better. It is almost 3 hours long, and while I didn't think the pacing was too bad, I do feel like it kind of dragged in a couple of spots, and that could have been used for more character development, or maybe more scenes with Pennywise and stuff like that. Now, some people were talking a little bit about the CGI de-aging for the kids in the movie because they're kind of going through that growth spurt age, moving into their teens, but it didn't really bother me that much. There were a couple of scenes with some characters in particular where the voices definitely sound off. Like, there was one scene, specifically one scene, where they go to their clubhouse out in the woods, and Eddie's character seemed like he was just really sped up. Like, I know he's kind of talks fast a little bit, maybe not as much as Richie, but there was just something that was really off about that scene. That's the only time with the younger actors where I was watching it, and it kind of took me out of the movie a little bit. Other than that, the creature effects looked good. The story was solid. As I said, the pacing of the film does kind of drag here and there. I feel things were just kind of changed around a little bit that might have helped out with the pacing of the movie. Other than that, it definitely wasn't that bad. If I had to give It Chapter 2 a numerical score on a scale of 1 to 10, I would probably give It Chapter 2 maybe a 7. All in all, it wasn't bad. I did feel like overall it was a little underwhelming. I thought for a film about the Adult Loser Club, and I'll get into this in the spoiler review, that this was a good chance to kind of explore some more mature adult themes. And because of the way the film is kind of structured with flashback scenes with the kids, you don't really get a lot of that. Like, for example, how the opening scene plays out, that was a great example of a mature subject matter that they were trying to touch on, but it seems like they didn't really follow through with that for the rest of the adult characters. Some things are kind of hinted at, but they don't really go and explore a lot of that in depth. You don't really get a lot of the adult motivations for the characters. It does kind of feel like sometimes with the adult characters, they were just kind of riding along with them as they get to the end point of the story. And they do have the flashbacks with the younger characters, and again, I feel like they could have just been utilized a little bit better. All in all, I did enjoy the film. I recommend going to see it if you're a fan of Stephen King movies, or a fan of horror movies, or if you just like movies in general. It is a little bit on the longer side. The movie does have issues with pacing here and there, where the movie kind of slows down and you're waiting for the next Pennywise scene, or the next scary scene, or something like that. But it wasn't too bad. I don't think I really checked my watch until about 2 hours into the film, so that wasn't too bad. I definitely enjoyed this film, and keep an eye out here for the spoiler review. We're going to get to that very soon. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, stay safe, stay classy, but most of all, stay groovy. And probably stay away from any clowns that might be talking to you from the sewer grates. They ain't Ninja Turtles down there. Just saying. Just saying.